Hey YouTube, this is Zen from the Horrible Gamers, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to create a playable character in Blender. This is version 2.76. So the first thing you want to do is switch over to Blender Game, and then you want to select everything by pressing A. And after you select everything, you can delete all of that. Now actually first what you might want to do is set your 3D cursor to the center. So I'm going to actually go back to select this and then hit Shift S and cursor to selected. Then I'm going to just delete all of it again. So there we go. And so now I have my 3D cursor in the center. And now you can hit Control A, or actually Shift A, and add in a cube. And this cube will be our player. And yeah, so now you can scale him however you want. And I'm going to scale just on the X and Y axis. So how I do that is I press S to scale and then press Shift Z and it locks it to just the X and the Y axis. So make the character however you want. And then you can position them up here. And so now we're going to add in a floor. So Shift A and add a plane. And we're going to scale this up by 8. And yeah, so now we have our player and our plane. And I'm just going to rename this to player and then floor. And yeah, so here's our player. And since we're already in the Blender game engine, we are going to go ahead and switch this timeline to logic editor and move this up so we can see what we're doing. So for the player, we're going to add a sensor, and this will be a keyboard sensor, and this will detect which button we are pressing, and we're going to set this so that it waits for the W key to be pressed. And then we're going to add an actuator and motion, and this motion actuator will basically tell which way the player is going to move when the W key is pressed. So for this, we'll probably just make it move on the Y axis. So to see which way it's going to go, we can select the player, press G, and then press Y, and I don't know, type in a number like 1. And as you can see, when we type in 1, it moves this way. So that means that when we move this up on the y-axis in the motion actuator, then it will move that direction. And if we play our game, first thing you'll notice is that you can't even see the player. And the second thing you'll notice is that if we press W, nothing happens. So the two things that we have to fix, firstly is the lighting, and secondly is to set the W key to activate that motion. So first we're going to add the lighting, and we're going to go Shift A and go down to lamp, and you can add whatever kind of lighting you want. For this time I guess I'll do sun lighting, and I'm going to move this over probably in the corner and rotate this just towards the player. And now when we play, we can actually see where our player's at and where the plane's at. And to make it so you can actually notice where the player's at and kind of tell which is which, we're going to select the plane and go over to materials and add a new material to the plane. And then you can adjust all the color settings, obviously. I'm going to change the color of the plane to something like green. And now when we play, as you can tell, there's the green plane and then there's the character. So now we're going to activate the motion so that when we press the W key, the player actually moves forward. And to do this, since we already have our sensor and our actuator, all we have to do is connect these two. So now we're going to connect these two, and there we go. So now when we play and press W, our character moves forward. Now our character is moving forward quite fast, so we're going to scale this down. I usually do 0.1 can work. So yeah, it's going to move on the y-axis 0.1, I think, per second. And here we go. So there's our moving forward. And then that's when you can adjust or add the extra keyboard functions. So we're going to minimize this, and then we're going to add the rest of our sensors. So let's add another 3 keyboard sensors, and then add 3 actuators and motion actuators. And yes, now we're going to add this. The second one will be moving backwards, so S, and then the motion, simple motion, let's make it -0.1, so it moves backwards on the y-axis. And so here's W, and if I press S it doesn't do anything. It's because I haven't connected it. So now that we connected that, when we play W, S, next we're going to add rotation. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can either make it so it rotates on the z-axis, or you can make it move on the x-axis. For this, I'm going to make it rotate on the z-axis. So we can now minimize out of the S function. And so now we're going to add A, which will be rotating left. And yeah. So over here on the motion actuator, we're going to go to the Z here. And instead of doing location, we are actually going to make it rotation. So go to rotation and then Z. You can make this, I think 3 usually works, 3 degrees. And then we can connect these. So we're going to try out 3. And now when we play and press A, our character rotates. So far we have left rotation, forwards, backwards, and yeah. So now we can add the right rotation. So again, minimize this and go to here, and then press D, and then just have simple motion, and then rotation on the z-axis, but this time negative. So I'm actually going to set this to 2 because 3 seems too high. So there we go, 2 degrees, and connect these, and there we go. So now we have all our motions, and yeah, that's the beginning here. So alright, next what we're going to do is add the physics, and we can scale this up so we can see everything over here. And we're going to go to physics and change the physics type for this to either dynamic, or we can make it a character. So change this to character, and as you can see, he falls through the ground. And to fix this, we're going to change the collision bounds. So check mark collision bounds and make sure it's on box or whatever shape your character is. And as you can see, the collision is set right to the character, and now when we play, our character doesn't fall through the ground. So now we have our collisions and our motion and the physics, and you're pretty much set. That's all for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.